This is part 2 of being just a fantastic beta reader. In the last video, we made it clear that as a beta reader, you owe a lot more to the author than a simple, yep, this is good, or nope, this is crap. You are looking for actionable feedback. When you provide that feedback, it should be something the author can actually use to improve the story. So you need to be thinking past simple comments like, this scene dragged for me, or I got confused in this section. You need to begin thinking of this from an analytical perspective, where you're less trying to answer the question of if a book works and more why a book does or does not work. And unfortunately, that means that you need to take notes. Or fortunately, I don't charge for beta reading. I tend to be very, very picky about what books I take on to beta read for, and I don't feel right charging for it. The one treat I do give myself is a brand new notebook and maybe a pen if I'm feeling frisky. There are 2 types of notes that I take: margin notes and analysis notes. First type, margin notes, are comments that are dropped in or on specific lines and sections that jump out to me for some reason. If the draft you're reading is in Google Docs or Word or the like, this is easy. However, if you're dealing with an EPUB, I use a physical notebook, marking the page and the section the comment relates to. Yes, I do know there's a way to leave comments on a Kindle, but it's annoying and there's really not an easy way to export those notes in any kind of cohesive manner. And those margin notes are important. They capture how you're feeling in the moment, your quick reactions to everything that's happening on the page, and that's key. As the author, we are trying to elicit a certain reaction. And if you're not capturing those reactions as you read, it's very, very hard to look back and tell whether the author was successful or not at what they were trying to do. The next are analysis notes, and this is where I take a much broader view of what I'm reading. Here I'm looking for sections of the book that are dragging, or points in which I find myself confused. When I find a section like that, I give it its own page. I write walrus/senator reverse harem scene isn't clicking for me at the top of the page, and then I keep reading with an eye to figuring out what in the walrus senator reverse harem scene is falling flat. Sometimes something will change your perspective of the scene. Maybe you weren't initially quite sure what the hero was planning, but once you get to the resolution, you realize that the confusion you were feeling was very much intended. Often, though, the real value of those empty pages with a disappointing pinniped/lawmaker love scene at the top don't come about until after you finish the book. Because at that point, you get to go back through your margin notes and start plugging them into whatever page in the analysis that they fit. This allows you to get a sense of all of the different pieces that make up those overarching feelings or impressions, and even better, possibly figure out how the author can help make it work. So for example, if a margin note reads, "The dialogue between Tusky, Milhouse, and Senator Sweaty feels clunky," you can realize that's one of the elements contributing to that overall note of that section. This is a modification of a critical approach I was taught in journalism school, and it really does allow you to both view the book as a whole, but also dissect the individual sections to see how they make this literary machine go. In the next video, we'll talk about the dreaded feedback discussion and how you can structure it in a way that doesn't just make the author jump through a window.